been in content 10 years and I've generated over 10 million followers for the fastest growing personal brand in the business space. And what I've realized is that followers don't matter anymore if you want to build a cult-like personal brand. So I'm going to share with you the 12 principles to build a brand that people don't just watch, but get obsessed with. Principle number 1 is that people don't follow creators, they follow characters. And if you want to build a cult-like personal brand where people actually follow you for who you are and not what you teach, you have to build your character diamond. I first heard of this principle from a guy named Ryan Dice, and he's the GOAT in the marketing space. And the whole point of a character diamond is to not just focus on the stuff that makes you awesome, but also share a little bit of the behind the scenes with your audience. And if you want to build a character, you have to have on the top your North Star. What do you want to be known for? And this is your expertise. This is your primary character trait. What people forget is that on the bottom, you need to have some kind of kryptonite, something that you're not good at, something that you can share with your audience that actually makes you a little bit human. And then on the right side is your non-negotiables. What are the hills that you're willing to die on? And then on the left side of the diamond is what are the weird things that you're actually interested in, and the more interest that you share with your audience, the more they're going to get pulled in. Which brings us to principle number 2. Brand is not a logo, it's an actual association. A lot of people forget that Nike is not a world-class brand because they have a nice swoosh logo. People associate that logo to athletes, shoes. Nike built their brand off of associations with these athletes because that logo doesn't mean anything without Michael Jordan wearing it. And once people associated Nike with Michael Jordan, that's when that logo actually meant something. And so if you want to build a cult-like personal brand, make sure that you're being very calculated with the associations that you make within your personal brand. Which brings us to principle number 3, which is cults have their own language, and so should you. If you look at the top personal brands in the world, the people that have cult-like followings, what they do is they package their frameworks in ways that people can repeat them. This is what I call a handle framework. You name something like the 10-80-10 rule for Dan Martell, like the 1-3-1 rule for Dan Martell, like the height framework for me, right? Hook, explain, illustrate, teach. Those are all frameworks that we share in our content to create language within our world. And guess what? Once people pick up that language and then speak to their audience using that language, that's when you know you've unlocked a cult-like personal brand. Which brings us to principle number 4, which is say what they feel but can't say. This is what I call self-articulation. A lot of people talk to their audience like they don't even know what they're thinking. And the biggest compliment that I get in my social media feed is people saying stuff like, "You literally read my mind," because I focus on this concept called self-articulation. And all self-articulation is are you actually saying things that people would say? A great example of this is I was coaching a business owner on how to make better content. And the first video we looked at was a piece of content where he literally started off the video with, "If you want to build a bigger team, you have to do X." I stopped and paused for a second because most people, most business owners don't actually want a bigger team. What they want is more money, more income, more impact. And if you can focus your packaging and your hooks and your content around those two outcomes, you're actually going to talk to self-articulated problems. And obviously building a team can be the solution to that, right? Where the promise is, I'm going to teach you how to make way more money this year than last year. And then the unique mechanism that you use to actually get people from A to B can be hire more people on your team, but don't lead your videos with stuff that people don't actually want. And so what you want to do in your content is to say the things that people think but can't say, and then have comments of people saying, "I feel like you live in my brain." Which brings us to principle number 5. Every movement has a common enemy. This is what I call the common enemy factor. And this is the number 1 lever that you can pull if you want to grow really fucking fast on social. My common enemy is I don't think you need fancy equipment, lighting, or gear to grow on social media. Given, this video is filmed with a very expensive camera and lighting, but if you go look at my social media on Instagram, I have built my audience from 0 to 50,000 followers using just my iPhone. No fancy equipment, literally just this phone. And that is my common enemy because a lot of people are overproducing their content, and then I come in the market with a very clear contrarian view on no one cares about your new camera, your new lens, or your tripod that you just bought. And then a bunch of people rally around it. That's what you want to create in your social media content. Create a common enemy that people can rally around and throw rocks at. And I'm not saying be controversial. Pick something, one hill that you're willing to die on, and align everything around a common enemy. Another example of that for Dan Martell is we made this carousel that was boss versus leader, right? And a lot of people hate their boss. A lot of people hate their managers. And what we did is made a piece of content that shows the contrast between a boss and a leader. And a bunch of people were lighting up their boss in the comments. And guess what? That carousel got over 10 million impressions because of that. Which brings us to principle number 6, which is your losses will build more trust than your wins. A lot of people lead their content with proof. And I'm the one that's the most guilty of this, right? In every single video, I'm like, here's all the cool shit that I've done. But the truth is that your audience will rally around helping you if they know your losses as well. An example of that is I literally just made a video on social media last week where I posted and I said, I thought I would be at 100K followers in under 6 months. Although I got to 60,000 followers on Instagram, I thought I would be at 100K in 6 months. And guess what? People saw my humanness. People saw my vulnerability and then made them lean into more of my content, made them actually support my mission. And a bunch of people in the comments were actually giving me really good pointers that I should share more of my losses, more of the stuff that I'm struggling with. And so I'm going to be making more content around that. And so if you want to win on social media, if you want to build a cult-like personal brand where people feel like they already know you, you don't just have to share your wins, but you have to share your losses as well. Which brings us to principle number 7, which is give all your best stuff away for free. Your product shouldn't help more people than your content. A lot of people think that they should gatekeep information on social media, but the truth is the fastest growing creators of the last decade give all their best shit away for free and then sell the implementation. You have to build that reciprocity engine where you give away all your stuff for free. People will literally beg to give you their credit card. And I've seen this happen in tons of my content. People are asking me to buy stuff from me, even though I don't sell anything. And if you want my free custom GPT that helps you script viral videos, I'm doing this in real time, right? I'm giving you away something for free. Go find me on Instagram and message me the word topic and I'll send it over to you. No opt-in, no nothing, just my gift to you. Which brings us to principle number 8, have abundance of content but scarcity of access. This is probably the one that's the most controversial on this list because a lot of people want to be available to everyone. But the truth is, if you want people to follow you like a cult leader, essentially, please use this for good, by the way, you will have to have some kind of scarcity of access. Now, I'm not saying go hide from your followers, but what I am saying is at least put some barriers in place so that there's a way for them to interact with you. And how I see big creators do this is they at least put their team between them and their audience. What I've seen the best content creators in the space do is, yes, they'll go on stage for 30 minutes, an hour, but the rest of the day is their team. And what this does is it creates scarcity for their time, but then also builds the brand of their team. So make free content for everyone, but have access for a select few. Which brings us to principle number 9, which is recognition is the cheapest loyalty that you'll ever build. A lot of people forget to thank their audience online. And the truth is a thank you goes a long way. Just small things, right? Like resharing their stories, commenting on their videos, engaging with them in the DMs will build a cult-like following because people will feel like they actually know you. And you'll notice me do this a ton on my content because I am extremely grateful that people actually watch my stuff and get value from it. And if you want to build a cult-like personal brand where people actually follow you for who you are, not just what you teach, you have to recognize your audience. Which brings us to principle number 10, which is don't just say it, show it. There's a principle that goes around on my content team where I always say, show, don't tell. Most people on the planet are visual learners. And so what you want to do in your content is to show models, show graphs, show things that people can actually understand. And this goes for editing as well. If you're giving feedback to your editor, don't just think how many fancy graphics or flashy text can I put on the screen? Instead think, what could I put on screen that would make the viewer understand this concept better? And the more you show and not just tell in your content, the more people are going to gravitate towards you because you're the person that actually teaches people something that actually lands, that they can actually understand. Which brings us to principle 11, which is do cool shit and then talk about it. A lot of content creators just make content about their content. I focus most of my time on building Dan Martell's personal brand and then some of my time on content. I only film 3 hours a week, every single week. And the rest of my week is doing cool shit. Why? Because I believe I will gather more life experience, more stories, more analogies that I can share in my content, not by making content, but by actually doing cool shit in the world and then reporting on it. Which brings us to principle number 12, which is people share content to label themselves. People don't share your content to help you. They do that to say, this is me as well. And the more you can adopt that frame in your content, the more of a cult-like personal brand you're going to build because your content is going to be signaling to those people. An example of that is I made a video that was all about the difference between a looker and a supporter on social media. People that shared that video, they were sharing that video to show their audience that they don't appreciate the lookers and that they appreciate the supporters. And so the more you can understand that in your content, the better your content is going to perform because you're working from your audience back. So that is how to build a cult-like personal brand. And as a reminder, if you want my custom GPT that actually helps you script viral videos in the Hyde framework, find me on Instagram and message me the word topic and I'll send it over to you. And watch this video next if you want to learn how to build a personal brand so fast it kind of feels like cheating.